Yo, what up? Welcome. As you can see, we have a Dave Microwaves Games Ultimate tier list in front of us that I've been preparing myself to tackle for like the last forever. As you guys know, I've gone back, I've revisited some older Dave games just to kind of brush up on my knowledge on these things so we can knock this beast out. I almost said piece of shit. It's not a piece of shit. It's been 30 seconds yet. Fuck. No, it hasn't. Oh no. Now we're demonetized. Anyway, whatever. It's fine. We're just gonna go. Ooh. Anyway, we're starting off with the good old 6 a.m. at the Chum Bucket. I'm gonna try to go through these as fast as I can. You guys know I have strong opinions on a lot of Dave's games, but what I'll do is I'll go through, I'll give like a short little review of things. I'm not going to categorize. I'm not going to do this professionally at all. Really, honestly, I'm just going to give my opinion, what I think. And obviously, all of my rankings here are my opinion. They're not fact, you know, like it's not like I'm like, this one's for sure better than this one. It's going by what I like more, what I like less. Okay, so that in mind, let's go. After we sort them all, also, I'm going to go through and I'm going to, like, do a little comparison sort. You know how these things work. Anyway, 6 a.m. at the Chum Bucket. I think this game's really solid. It has an endless mode, even though the endless mode is basically just a copy and paste of the main game itself, so endless mode doesn't really add that much substance. That being said, it's kind of like blank filler content to the game, which is great for like YouTube stuff, but the replayability of endless mode actually isn't that great as you would think. I know there are random events, which is good, but otherwise it's just the same game over and over again. The game itself is actually really good. There's a lot of like little secrets and lore. There's Easter eggs of like 8-bit Ryans in there. You got plankton squished on the table. All sorts of shit is going on in this game, and it's very cool. Very cool. And obviously, it's a SpongeBob game. It's one of Dave's classics. It's sort of a sequel to the 3 a.m. at the Krusty Krab, while also not really being a sequel. It's kind of its own thing, which I dig. So we're going to stick this sucker in A tier. We might change it later, but it's staying in A tier because it's all around a solid game. I feel like it's one of Dave's backbone games for his games, and we're just leaving it there for now. A Nightmare on Sesame Street, baby. This is a good one, too. It's one of the first ones I played. It's blown up every single time I've played it on the channel, and it's solid. It's really solid. That's one thing I can say about Dave's games is a lot of them, especially the earlier ones, have very different mechanics, very different, what's the word? Very different strategies for beating each one. The gameplay doesn't feel the same in every game. It's awesome. Like in Nightmare on Sesame Street, you're wandering around and you got to collect the three things, but there are save points, there's back alleys you can take, the enemy has a specific mechanic of teleporting around or getting lost, there's different difficulties, there's different mode, like there's a pixelated mode with a different soundtrack that is bonkers, by the way. There's a foggy mode, which is very difficult. There's a second level in the boiler room. A Nightmare on Sesame Street is very high A, almost S. Very high A, almost S, and I'm leaving it there. And this is the Crystal Chicken, right? Yeah, this is the Crystal Chicken. One of Dave's very first games. It's actually not that bad. It's really short. It takes like 5 to 7 minutes to beat. And it's literally just walking through a cave top down. It's like kind of Atari style. And it's really minimalistic, but you can see where Dave oh my God. You can see Dave's like humor and like backbone and like where he really started to like get going here, but it's nothing compared to what he's got going on now. It's one of his earliest games, sure, but it leaves a lot to be desired. I feel like maybe there could be alternate endings. I feel like maybe there could be a little bit more going on than just the bears. There's like little spike things that can hit you and kill you. It's not very frustrating. It's easy to pick up and play, but there's not much game to it. It's like 3 or 4 levels of just kind of going through and doing stuff. So I'm going to put it in D, and we might change it later. I'm going to say that after everyone. Around the Clock at Bikini Bottom. Oops. We're going to go ahead and put that in S. We all know it's S. It's an S tier game. It's his biggin. It's his big game. It's one of his big games. Arguably his best game. Very well done. Very speedrunnable. Very progressive with the updates. The anniversary update is fantastic. Nothing is crazy in the game aside from the Krusty Krab, acing the Krusty Krab, which honestly I feel like it's fine. The game itself is very well paced. It's not as difficult as a lot of people say it is. Like It's very good. The story is very well written. The animation is very well done. All the soundtrack and the sound, the audio equalization, everything. All the engineering, everything that went into this game is great, and everything that isn't top notch is like meme material, and it's almost done not top notch on purpose. So this whole thing is great. The glitches don't soft lock you or anything. The glitches are like speedrun bugs. All the bad all the bad bugs have been fixed. They've been changed. Dave has listened to the community a lot on this one, and I feel like even though this game has blown up and it's Dave's most popular game, it's still underrated. And I feel like more people need to play through this game. I feel like a lot of people are just playing like the tutorial or the first couple levels and they're stopping, and they're missing out. People are missing out on Around the Clock at Bikini Bottom. That's a badass game. All right, Bongo Schmoglo, baby. The game where you collect the bananas. It was made for Padre's birthday. It was made very quickly. It's a great game for how fast it was made, but it's Dave's stereotypical little collectathon game. It's a good game, but Bongo has this cool thing where he sees you way before you see him, and that sucks. That really sucks, especially in hard mode, to where it sucks. Not that it's difficult, but to where it affects the pacing of the game. I feel like the momentum gets slowed down a lot, and from a YouTuber's perspective, you'll be moving and schmoving and going, and then like if he sees you, you're dead, and you don't want that in a game. You want to be able to like do mechanics and get away instead of it being out of your control. And even if it is in your control, like just be stealthy, just wait. That's affecting pacing because you have to stop and you have to wait, and that's all fine. Like it's cool to be able to have to wait. You know what I mean? That's fine. But Bongo's AI is random. It goes to random points around the map. You can't really tell where it's going next. It kind of does what it wants. And that's not cool for the whole waiting thing, because then you don't know. You can't be like, all right, he went that way, we're good. No, you got to like really judge it and go off of it. So that being said, the mechanics of the game is probably going to be in D tier, a little higher than Crystal Chicken. Mostly because like balancing and the pacing of it, I'm not a fan of the pacing, but it's still a really good game, right? We got Bloody Battle, that's going in F. There's nothing there. It's like, I feel like it was just a concept. I feel like it was just something they threw together just to, okay, let's make a game in Unreal Engine and let's make a first person or a third person game. Let's try something out just to make sure that everything's working. I'm learning the basics. To be fair, this game was not released publicly. It's only available from his Patreon, and there's really nothing to it. Like, there's literally nothing to it. Bloody Battle is just, you're a third person dude and there's cars going across the map. They touch you, you die. And the same with the guys who are after you. They touch you, they punch you, you die, and etc. You hit a button to restart. You can pause and quit. Very basic, easy stuff. Bloody Battle. It's F tier. Sorry, Dave. Our first F tier. Bunky, we're putting up here in S tier, man. It's behind Around the Clock, but it's S tier, dude. That's a good game. That's a real good game. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of the Unkies. I made Unkies.exe. But Bunky itself, probably my favorite Unky game by Dave. Of course, there's only Tunky and Bunky, but Bunky's random events are S tier. Bunky's audio is S tier. The AI is a little weird, and there are some bugs. But as far as how the structure of the game goes, it's very well done. There's a lot of different game modes you can play. And that's another thing I forgot to mention about Bongo Schmoglo. There's only normal and hard mode. There's not really much there. It was made really quickly for a birthday game, so whatever. But anyway, Bunky, we're talking about Bunky. Lots of game modes. There's modes with Tunky in it. There's like the Halloween mode. I think it's the same mode. And then there's the regular game mode. I think there's like a hard mode or something. There's lots of stuff in this game. And the random events, there's so many random events that I still don't think I've seen all the random events. And I made Unkies.exe. Like, it took me so long to recreate this map and create all the random events I could that I'm pretty sure I still missed some. Like, and there were some old bugs in the game that I thought were random events, but they're actually just bugs. There's different variations of the AI in this game. Bunky has so many different forms, and it's super cool. The door lock mechanic was new in this game, and it's super cool. It's got a map that you can use. There's floaty things. There's security cameras. There are humans, like there's so much. The collectibles are very well placed and spaced out to where you have to go through the expanse of the entire map to find everything. It's very good. It's a good game, good level design. I like Bunky. It's S tier to me. All right, so we got the Dude Itter, a lot like Bongo Schmoglo, but with more. It's like a better Bongo Schmoglo. Let's go in and see. Dude Itter is the sequel to Bongo Schmoglo. You go around, you collect cake, you go to the birthday thing, and you get out. Was this made for a birthday game too? I think this was made for Dave's birthday. I think Dave made this for his birthday, which is kind of cool because Bongo, the first game, was made for Padre's birthday. That's great. Dave and his birthday games, man. There's another one on this list, by the way. So yeah, Dude Itter, very good game. I like collectathons, man, and Dave makes a lot of collectathons, but this one had another thing where you had to go to the kitchen, you gotta assemble the birthday cake, wait for the song to play, and then get to the exit. There's not really a big chase, but you do have to strategize a little bit to get around this. Now, the AI is still random, like where they roam, but you can definitely work around it better in this map because this map is structured way better than the Bongo Schmoglo map. There's even like a little gate that you can open and close for later access to make it easier to get through that home stretch. There's a lot of things you can do to set yourself up for success in this game. There are some dead ends, but the Dude Itter's pretty easy to outrun. Bongo's pretty easy to juke, and I think it makes the game a lot better. There's 2 difficulty modes, and they don't just involve making you blind and making the game harder by increasing the AI itself, but it adds another AI. Instead of just running from the Dude Itter, you run from Bongo as well, and that makes the game way crazier. Also, the atmosphere changes. I think it goes to like black and white in hard mode. Anyway, Dude Itter, very good. C tier. I feel like it's average. I feel like a lot of collectathons are going to end up in this middle area because Dave tends to repeat a lot of his collectathon stuff. Carnivorous Chickens. This is one of my favorite concepts for a game that Dave has had. Dave doesn't like it. He thinks it's cringy, but I really like the idea of a Doom-esque campaign first-person shooter in the Dave Microwaves game style, and I feel like this is almost the closest we've gotten for it, or to that so far. And I'm very excited for Vex Clock, by the way, because I want something like that so bad. Like, I want like just a campaign-based shooter that Dave has made, because he's really good at making shooter games. So Carnivorous Chickens, it was just a demo. I feel like it left a lot to be desired. The game itself, the gameplay was pretty cool. The different guns, the zombie hordes themselves, pretty well designed. The story, it had a good start. I feel like it could have been really cool had a Left 4 Dead feel. I don't really have any problems with this game. It's just different enough to where it's really good. I think I'm gonna stick it in B tier, and I would love to see more, but I know Dave's never gonna continue this game. I would love to see more. I liked Carnivorous Chickens. I really did. I thought the whole design of it was really good. There's little Easter eggs here and there, and I really want something like this in the future from Dave. So we got Courage's Curse. Courage's Curse is definitely a tier game. I think it's above Chum Bucket, but not up to Sesame Street. Actually, it is above Sesame Street. There's a lot of really good stuff in Courage's Curse. There's a lot of good references. No, it's behind Sesame Street. Sesame Street's too solid. It's the game modes, man. The game modes save Sesame Street. So anyway, Courage's Curse, it's right under Sesame Street in the A tier for sure. There's different AI. Their collection mechanics really good. You got to search drawers and stuff. There's an Easter egg with the Barracuda. That's super cool. He doesn't have any voice lines, but he's there. You got the truck. You can run over Ramsey. There's different stages in the game. There was a bug where the cornfield or the wheat field would disappear, or maybe Dave just took it out of the game altogether. I don't know. But there's good steps in this game, and there's an inside and outside of the house, and it's all in one map, and it works really, really well with the AI staying in their areas. And I like the story. I like everything in this game. It's very well done, and it's very good. It's a very good parallel to Courage Cowardly Dog in general. I feel like most of his parody games are going to end up in A tier, dude. Unfortunately, like I say unfortunately because I know Dave's trying to move away from his parody things, but his parody games are so good. They really are. They're really well done, and I feel like that was kind of a golden age for Dave's game design as well. And he's moving into an even stronger golden age right now, and I'm very excited about it. So now we have Cyborg Robot Hunter. It's too short, man. I feel like it, same thing as Carnivorous Chickens, but even shorter. So I feel like it's gonna go probably as a low D above Crystal Chicken. I really like the idea of having a campaign shooter, but this game is legitimately like 3 minutes long. I really like it though. Like I like the idea itself, but there's like no story. There's nothing there. You just kind of go in, you kill a bunch of cyborg robots, and you get to the end, and that's it. I don't know what to tell you, man. That's all we got. There's nothing really of substance, just like Crystal Chicken. It's just like a first-person shooter version of Crystal Chicken. And now we have Dave.exe. That's S tier. That's above Bunky. I don't think it's... Is it above Around the Clock? No, it's not above Around the Clock, but it's still really, really good. Dave.exe is so extensive. Is that the right word? Expansive? I don't know. Anyway, it's got baldy stuff in it. It's got stuff from my games in it. It's got it's got really good gameplay mechanics. There's good story and lore. It connects a lot of Dave's games in general. It's just really well made, well done. There's a lot of variations. There's a lot of replay. There's like infinite replayability pretty much. There's all sorts of shit that you can earn and wear and change about your character. There's stuff that you can do to affect your stats to make the game just easier in general. There's a lot of growth to go through and learning how the game works and getting better at the game itself. Arguably more than any of his other games, this game has probably the best learning curve I've ever seen, or best difficulty curve. Difficulty curve? This is the funnest game, I think, of Dave's. I think this is Dave's funnest game. It's very fun, very good game, very well made, very polished, good voice acting, good sound engineering, good Easter eggs and hidden things, good story, and there's even like a little encyclopedia. There's a tutorial. Everything's there if you need it. There's variations to the hub world. There's more than one hub world. There's a lot, and Dave's still working on it. There's so much here. Dave.exe has all the capability in the world to surpass Around the Clock at Bikini Bottom, and I'm very excited for the future of this game. I can't remember what this game's called, but I do know that it is super random, and you have to play it. Let's look at it actually. Let's inspect it. This is Desperate Escape. Yeah. Okay. So Desperate Escape. This game is really random. It's basically, you go from room to room. Every 10 rooms, you run into the truck. In order to get to the truck and escape and win the game, you need gas, you need a battery, and you need keys for the truck. And that's how you win. So basically, you're just going through every room, trying to avoid enemies as you go to... and hopefully you get the items to get out. It's pretty simple, but it's also very heavily RNG based. I think if you look at the enemies, they kill you. If you go near the enemies, they kill you. I think my strategy was to just kind of wait until the enemies came and went and then go to the next room. But it's really hard to kind of juggle all this. It's very beatable. It's not that hard, honestly, but I feel like it's better than Crystal Chicken. It's probably his best top-down 2D, unless I'm missing one. I have to look at the other ones. We'll get there. So I feel like it's up there, right behind Bongo Schmoglo. Bongo Schmoglo was really good, but it's in D for sure, right behind Bongo Schmoglo. We have a lot of D tier stuff, Dave. I'm sorry. We'll get to the good ones. All right, Do Me and the Roomie. I love Do Me and the Roomie. Do Me and the Roomie so good. It's S tier above Bunky for sure. Do Me and the Roomie's so good, dude. It's got so much variation, so many different characters from Dave's other games, and I've said this game is my favorite Dave game a lot. And it's a lot of fun. I love it's based on collectathons. Dave loves his collectathons, and this is like the collectathon game. Random characters, random maps. The maps are they're randomly they're procedurally generated. So every time you'll never get the same map twice. It's very cool. The maps are set up in like quadrants that just spawn randomly as you play through the game. There are bosses, there are bonus floors, there are so many different characters. Every playthrough you ever do will always be different, no matter what, every single time. This game, I think, is still in development too. I think Dave's still planning on adding updates. I may be wrong. I know it's probably on the bottom of his priority list to do so, but he actually just recently updated the game not too long ago, added another boss and some more rooms and stuff, and I'm pretty excited for the future of this game. And even if he's done with it, it's still a top-notch game, right behind Dave.exe, if not tied with Dave.exe in its current state. Dave.exe is pretty high because it's still got a lot going for it, but yeah, man, it's really good. I actually might move Bunky down to top A. Let's move Bunky down to top A. Doras Dead remastered. Let's do Doras Dead itself first. Pretty basic game. The textures were almost stock. You know, I think they were, a lot of them were stock. It was definitely one of Dave's earlier games. It was before 3 a.m. at the Krusty Krab. And I think it was pretty well done. It wasn't as memey as the remastered. I feel like it's definitely not as polished as the remastered. It was pretty basic in a warehouse. Go to point A, go to point B, go to point C. Randomly generated items that you pick up that only had a couple spawn points. An ambush enemy that if you knew was coming, you could get out of the way. But if you didn't, it would probably kill you. You could start all over again. The game's pretty short. The game can be beaten in like 3-4 minutes. So Doras Dead, not too bad. Good, solid parody game. It's right behind Carnivorous Chickens for me, the original. And just like the original, Doras Dead Remastered does everything Doras Dead does, but better. So we're going to put it high B above Carnivorous Chickens. How about them apples? They're both solid games. Solid games. Everything's just remastered, remodeled, textures are better, all that good junk. Draculas Castle, very underrated game. If this game would have made it further in development, my God, this would be such a good game. But Dave unfortunately had to cancel it because it wasn't getting the support that it deserved. Very underrated, very good game. High A, highest A, almost S, not quite S because it wouldn't be fair to his S tier games if I put it in S. I was kind of thinking that about Bunky, so I moved Bunky down. But Draculas Castle is very, very good. Very high tier game, especially for how early in development Dave was in regards to skill. I think my only complaint about Draculas Castle is all the particle effects and stuff that were used in it. It just bogs the PC down when you're trying to play it. It's not very optimized compared to his other games. But it was an early 3D game, so that goes without saying, you know. Bosses, replayability's all right. I feel like it could be a little better, but it was one of those campaign games, and I love those. I love linear games. I want more linear games to play, and Draculas Castle had that going for it. As if you know, or if you didn't know, a lot of Dave's games are like arcade style, but this is one of his linear ones, kind of like Around the Clock. Even Around the Clock was kind of a mix of both, you know. 3:30 a.m. at Floater Cemetery. It's not as good as 6 a.m. at the Chum Bucket, I don't think, but it was still really good. I feel like it's better than Doras Dead. So it's going to be high B. In my opinion, there was a lot to do here, but there was only one game mode. There's not really much else besides just going, digging up the graves and getting out. There's a lot of enemies, but there's not much replayability there. And it's actually, it's just in that B tier area. And I gotta like kind of rethink the do-ditter here now because I'm like, is it better? I don't know. Again, we'll sweep through this list one more time before we're done and fix everything up, all right? So now we have the Dave Microwaves Games bundle, which I'm going to actually save that one for last. I want to save that one for last because I want to make sure I tackle all the others first and kind of eliminate stuff that's not in the bundle from his old games and then worry about the bundle games. So, what's this one? Horrors of the Polygonal Age is what this one is. This one's not even finished, but for what it did have, it was pretty good. I dig the atmosphere, the replayability, not good. It was really buggy. This was another one that was only on Patreon and didn't really have much else going for it. He tried to make it, I think multiplayer, but I don't think he could get it to work. Maybe? I don't know. I feel like it was one of those campaign games that could have been really good, but he just didn't get that far with it. So we're going to put that in high F, I think. Crystal Chicken is guarding the bottom of D, man. I think Crystal Chicken, we got to move down to F. Like, yeah, because Polygonal Age, Crystal Chicken, I think these are staying in F right here. This is our F. We're adjusting as we go, okay? All right, I have opinions. 3 a.m. at the Krusty Krab. That's up there, dude. That's up there, probably right behind Bunky. There's a lot here. There's a lot. Like, it has the endless mode, and the endless mode actually has good replayability. There's good Easter eggs in Nosferatu. There's a hint towards ATC. There's a lot of references in endless mode. There's different random events you can get. The game itself is actually pretty cool. There's 2 stages, just like Nightmare on Sesame Street, where if you finish the first stage, you got a second one you go into. And I don't know, it's a good game. It's a nice, solid game. Very well-rounded, perfect size for like a short, fun playthrough. And it's the game that lifted Dave off. So it's really good. It's up there, dude. I feel like it's right behind Bunky, if not tied with Bunky. So we have the trilogy then. The trilogy, 3 games in 1. I don't see his other 2 games on here. Yeah, okay. So this is A Real Party, Cockeye, and Rungy-Roo. It was made for the Dave and Jay trilogy that we did. And this game's actually these games are actually really, really good for the short time span they were made in. It's super impressive. It's really hard to know where to put these based on this list, man. But I feel like Cockeye really carries these. That and A Real Party is just chef's kiss. It's his only text-based adventure game. It's above Draculas Castle. It's up there. It's very high A, if not bottom S. It's up there. It's up there. I think Rungy-Roo's the only thing keeping it from S, because Rungy-Roo is just like not very long, and it has that thing to where the AI sees you before you see them. It's got the random thing that Bongo Schmoglo had going on. Otherwise, Cockeye, very good. It's linear. It's good to go. It mixes that arcade style, and then you have his only text-based adventure right now. Very, very good. All right, mini horror. There's a bunch of maps. It's Collectathon. Super simple arcade style game with set enemies. Not much replayability. It's going C. It's bottom C. Let's move Bongo Schmoglo up to right here with Dooditter. We're putting them here. We're all friends in the C tier, the average games, Collectathon, easy peasy games. Mr. Krusty Requires Souls of the Dam, also Collectathon. Dave's best Collectathon, easily. Dave's best, my favorite of Dave's, of SpongeBob games, besides Around the Clock, obviously. But I don't know, man. Where am I gonna put it? It's gotta go up in high A, man. There's too much meme going on. I love the nightmare fuel. I love the atmosphere. I know it's just a simple collectathon, but it's got multiple enemies. The hard mode is so cool. It's such a cool transition from the original game. The endings are so good, and there's a web series attached to it. And I think Padre's working on a sequel right now. I don't know when it's going to be done or how far in development he even is. But I've seen sneak peeks of it, and it looks so good. But don't bother Padre about it. I don't know if this is like a secret or whatever. But yeah, Mr. Krusty, very good game. Almost S. Actually, I'm putting it above the trilogy. It's good, dude. It's good. Can we put it above the? Thank you. Nosferatu's Lair of Doom. This is another really underappreciated game. It's got his first attempt at like procedurally generated or just randomized levels in it, to where there's like 2 or 3 map variations for the main game itself. I feel like the 2 endings are really good. The style of the game is really good, but it's an older one, and I feel like you can really see the age in it. It's better than 330 at floaters, but I feel like it doesn't pass Chum Bucket. I feel like Chum Bucket might even actually go to top B. I feel like Chum Bucket... Nah, we'll leave it. We'll leave Chum Bucket in A. Nah, Chum Bucket's top B. I think we're keeping it there. All right, so we have original Our Savior build, which was a simple collectathon. Even if it's my favorite collectathon, the original build was super simple. You got a few enemies after you. There's a lot going on. I really dig the style like Mr. Krusty, but it's not quite as high as Mr. Krusty yet. Recorn Culted. Oh my goodness, that's top B. Right? That's no, it's up there. It's past Draculas Castle. It's really up there, dude. Like we're moving it. We're moving it up. It's climbing. It's right behind Mr. Krusty. It's so good. There's so many levels, so many endings. There's alternate endings. There's secrets. There's so much in this game, and Yonder is so cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Prototype 1 is S tier. I haven't even beaten this game in its entirety yet because the replayability is so crazy. Dave just added a new update to the game. I think this is probably one of Dave's most underrated games. Nobody plays it, and it's so good. People are missing out. It's a third-person game with crazy replayability. Like it's like Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion level of replayability. And there's 100 rooms you go through. There's a boss at the end of each playthrough. I feel like there could be more bosses, probably, maybe even more enemies. But there are weapons you get. You can get a gun in the second half of the game. There's stats. There are different difficulties that limit what you can do. There's so much to do in this game, and me replaying Dave's games every 2 days. I haven't even beaten it 100%. So very good. It doesn't pass these 3 though, but it's still really good. We got Rob the Killer. Super simple. Better than Let's see. Well, I like it. It's up there with the original Doras Dead, I think. Right behind Carnivorous Chickens. If it was a little longer, if it had a little bit of length to it, or like maybe something to set it apart from, then Carnivorous Chickens wouldn't be guarding it. But Rob the Killer is really good. It's solid. There's a cult for Rob. You find the gas cans, or the gas. You find the you find the lighter, and you set his totem on fire, and then you get out. You have a gun, so you have like a second chance if he sees you. It's solid. Scooby Horror, the original Scooby Horror. Honestly, not that great. I don't think it's as good as Doras Dead. I don't think it's worse than Mini Horror though. Mini Horror is not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. No, I don't know. Let's put it in high D tier. It's like right below Mini Horror, I think. And let's actually put Mini Horror high D tier. Nah, Mini Horror's in C. Okay, so Scooby Horror, I feel like it had those random jump scares. It was Scooby-Doo's, his first Scooby-Doo game. I feel like it could have been a little better optimized. And, I don't know, like Scooby Horror Remastered just does everything it does, but way better. And Scooby Horror Remastered is, I want to put it probably right behind the original Our Savior. So that means Scooby Horror 2 probably behind the original Scooby Horror, just because like it basically did everything that Scooby Horror did, but not as good. It had even more issues with lag and all that stuff. Just because Dave back then didn't know things that he does now, so he didn't know his like optimization techniques that he uses in current games. Scooby Horror 3 way better than the other two. Arguably better than Remastered, but I think it gets blocked off by Remastered. I don't think Remastered... Yeah, Remastered's really good. So let's put Scooby Horror 3 behind Mini... Yeah, Scooby Horror 3 just goes in C, right here in C. This is a pretty solid looking tier list, I think. Scooby Horror Arcade is an S tier game. I think it's better than Doomy. I don't think it's better than Dave.exe though. Dave.exe is so good, but Scooby Horror Arcade is very good. A lot of work went into that game. It's such a huge step up from the other Scooby Horror games. It's insanity. It's very, very good. There's so much replayability. There's skills. There's things you can unlock. There's trophies. There are monster coins. I don't even remember that's what it's called. But I think that's the I can't remember. A Dragon Quest. I think it's the Dragon Quest thing, is monster coins. Anyway, Scooby Horror Arcade, very, very good. Lots of enemies, lots of references to the show. I love how you actually go through step by step and trap the enemies. I love how you're supposed to escape the enemies. Very, very cool game. Very, very cool game. I wish it was less random though, but the replayability is also pretty good. So, Shopping Nightmare, the original Shopping Nightmare. Pretty good game. I'm not gonna lie. It's short, sweet, better than the Scooby Horror games. I don't know about the remastered. I don't know if it's better than... it's better than Dude It Or... Is it better? No, this is down there. I think Dave on his tier list put this in F tier. But I really like Shopping Nightmare. I like the original Shopping Nightmare. It's probably bottom C, I think. Super simple, sweet, go in, go to point A, go to point B, get out. You know? Easy stuff. Honestly. Barry the Bear made a debut. You know, we love Barry the Bear. That's where it all started. Shopping Nightmare Remastered did everything Shopping Nightmare did, but better. Way better, in fact, to where it's like right behind Scooby Horror Remastered, I think. No, it's above. It's above. It's gonna be really hard to beat the original Our Savior, dude, in C tier. C tier is getting guarded by... All the tiers are getting guarded by like some champions, man. You can definitely tell like my favorite in each tier for sure. We'll like I said, we'll reorganize this as we go. Then we got Shopping Nightmare 2 was actually originally made for my birthday, but it grew into something way bigger and better. It's a big collectathon game. There's lots of different levels. There's lots of replayability, especially in this last version. There's hard mode in every level in this last version. The game's got a lot of story. There's a lot coming in the future. I don't know for this game specifically, but the lore of the Dave Microwaves Games universe is also hinted to very heavily in this game alongside Dave.exe. I don't know if it's the same lore or whatever, but it's very good. It's right behind Recorn Colted. I think... No, it's right behind Mr. Krusty. It's up there with the champs, dude. Mr. Krusty and Recorn Culted. I'm probably giving Mr. Krusty a way higher score than it deserves, but it's really good. I love Mr. Krusty. And like I said at the beginning, this is my opinions on this tier list, not necessarily what I think is better or worse, just what I like, honestly, more than anything else. Strange Terror from the Deep. Oh man, that's oof. Strange Terror from the Deep's going to S tier. That's a good one, dude. Lots of monsters, lots of replayability, lots of endings. I love that there are lots of endings. It's got that arcade style while still giving you the story that you want, and it's a classic, dude. It's just a classic game. Nostalgia's getting me on this one, folks. Same with Beyond the Stars. Same thing, dude. It's up there. You can't, like, Dave, you can tell a big difference between Dave's S tier games and his other games. And when I reorganize this list, we may bump down a lot of these S tier games to A and A to B and all this. We might shuffle it a little bit more. Maybe not shuffle, but just like bump everything down to specific stages. The Explorers, it's an RNG simulator, dude. It's better than Crystal Chicken. It's better than, like, the replayability is better than all this stuff. Let's move Cyborg Robot Hunter down. Let's move Desperate Escape, I think it's called, down. The Explorers is down there in F tier, but it's the top of F tier, I think. I think it's gatekeeping the F tier from people getting down there to that F tier, right? Tunky, such a good game. The replayability is just not there, though. It does everything Bunky does, but not quite as good. I don't think it's as good as 6 AM at the Chum Bucket, but it's better than 3 AM at Floaters. It's one of Dave's iconic games. Not as good as Nosferatu, because Nosferatu brings a lot to the table, but Tunky's still really good. And honestly, looking at this and then looking at our Savior, the original, I'm like, is my B tier and C tier backwards? Like, I don't know. Anyway, let's Whales for Free. Dave has a lot of games, okay? Whales for Freedom. It's got Barney in it, man. It's super unique. It's very frustrating. This is a frustrating game. It's a hard game to control, and I feel like that's the biggest thing that holds it back. So it's got that Bongo Schmoglo thing where it's frustrating, and there's... but it's a good game. It's so good. It's very good. It's up there probably right behind Scooby Horror Remastered, but it's really original. It's really good, and I really like it. Honestly, that's a lot of brownie points, man. Worth it. It's granny, but... super good, super speed runnable, super easy. It's got a really good hard mode. The only thing that I don't like about this game is easy, normal, and hard don't get you anything separate from each other. Like, there's 2 endings across the board for those, and then Nightmare has 2 endings. So I feel like maybe there could have been more variation going on with the endings, but as far as gameplay goes, this game is amazing. I love that you can't hold you don't have infinite pockets like the Unkies. It's basically the Unky games, but way better. It's like improved upon like crazy. And Dracula is better than Dracula's Castle, better than these. It's probably it's probably right behind Our Savior, if not better. It's like tied with Our Savior, I think, in my opinion. And then finally, we have the Dave bundle, which I think are just like the Defend Your Orange Farm, a really forgetful game that I know that's Crystal Chicken. That's Crystal Chicken on that thumbnail. The Defend Your Orange Farm, the bog thing, and that just basically just tower defense stuff. That's basically what these are. Oh, and then there's the one where you're these kids and you gotta like survive or whatever and get through this town, which was all right. That was pretty good. So this has some pretty good variation in it. And honestly, I feel like it's right behind the Explorer. It's better than the Explorers. I feel like it's to top in F tier, honestly. And there we go. There's your tier list. Let's review real quick. We got ATC in the first S spot. I think that's my favorite S tier game, yeah. Second favorite, Dave.exe. That's correct. Scooby Horror Arcade. Third, yeah, he put a lot of work into that one, man. Then we got Doomy. Then we got Prototype 1, Strange Terrors right behind that. You know what? That's solid. I feel like these are Dave's biggest games. I feel like these deserve this S tier ranking. It may look like there's a lot in S tier, but there's just a lot across the board. A tier, we got Mr. Krusty, and we got Shopping Nightmare 2, Our Savior Recorn Culted, and Worth It. Those are all champs. Like, those are all such good games, dude. And we got the trilogy, Draculas Castle following the trilogy, Bunky, 3 AM of the Krusty Krab, Nightmare on Sesame Street, and Courageous Curse. I feel like maybe these could be bumped down a little bit. So how about we bump the Strange Terror games down to A tier? and let's bump Draculas Castle and below down to B tier. So Draculas Castle below goes to B tier. So let's scoot these down a little. All right. Cool. So we got Dracula. So we got these are your A tier here. Like I want this to be like definitive list of like it's pretty much night and day. Like yeah, it's my opinion, but you can tell the steps Dave took in his development journey, depending like just by looking at the games you got here. Strange Terror games are also really, really, really good, and it breaks my heart to take them out of S tier, but they're just not up to snuff with these games up here. You can tell just by looking at the icons the difference between them. All right, like just the size and everything on its own isn't gonna matter. So Draculas Castle, it's an older game, but it's up there because of the length. It's probably his oldest big length game, so it's gonna be at the top. Bunky, also very good. Tunky, I think follows right behind it. With your 3M at the Krusty Krab, I think is honestly, it's so iconic that I think it brings it up above Bunky. And that being said, I think the 6 a.m. and 3:30 goes right behind it. Yeah. Right behind Tunky, I think is 6 a.m. and then 3:30. We got Nightmare on Sesame Street, which actually had a remastered thing, and then we had The Courageous Curse right behind that. And I actually think Nosferatu is really high up there as well, with Doras Dead, Carnivorous Chickens, Doras Dead remastered. So I feel like Carnivorous Chickens, Doras Dead, and Bob the Killer. Let's see. So let's move the original Our Savior up to higher than Nosferatu. Yeah, let's move out higher than Doras Dead. I think this is our B tier bottom. So we're gonna move Doras Dead, Bob the Killer, Carnivorous Chickens, and Doras Dead Remastered down to C. I think Remastered kind of dominates the C tier here on average stuff, but at the same time, Rob the Killer is really good, dude. So I think yeah, I think these are the champs right here of the C of the average games. Shopping Nightmare Remastered, it's got to go above regular Doras Dead. Same with Scooby. Whales for Freedom, I feel like really needs a boost. I feel like it's a really good game, right? Whales for Freedom's got to be one of the highest. And then we got these. Yeah, these got to go up as well. And then we have Mini Horror down here with Shopping Nightmare and Scooby Horror 2. Okay, and then the D tier, we got the Scooby Horror 2, regular Scooby Horror. I think Shopping Nightmare and Mini Horror can probably go down here with the D tier games, right? Maybe a little above it, right? So we got the third Scooby Horror. Shopping Nightmare is better. Yeah, I think this is solid. Scooby Horror 3 is actually a really good one. I do think it's better than the first two, but I don't think it's better than Mini Horror. Mini Horror is really good. And now I think I feel really good about this list. I think this is a good one. So we got ATC, the big modern games. We got the big, really good non-modern games, and then some smaller modern games. And then we have the big old games, and then some like classics that really brought Dave to life. Capped off with one of my favorite simple games that he's made. And then we have the birthday games here, which of course the best birthday game being an A, with Whales Freedom, Doras Dead, all your average games right behind it. And then you have the, I think Doras Dead, honestly, is not as good as Shopping Nightmare, in my opinion. I think that could probably move down. So then we got D tier with Shopping Nightmare, Doras Dead, Mini Horror, Scooby Horrors, the original Scooby Horror trilogy. And then we have Dave's first set of games, which are, you can tell, they're way different from his modern games. And there you have it. That's the Dave Microwaves Games tier list, as stated by JayskiBean. This is my tier list. This is my opinion. If you disagree, you disagree. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is based off of mostly just my thoughts after playing all these games. Very fresh in my mind, by the way. I recently recently replayed a lot of these, and this was not an easy tier list to do. But in the end, I feel like after readjusting everything that I needed to readjust, this is really solid. I feel like it really separates these games adequately, like as tier lists do. I swear I'm not talking for filler right now. I actually need to stop recording really soon. Like, I'm just trying to explain myself the best I can. But yeah, I know this is a long video. Thank you guys so much for watching this super long, stupid video of me just talking about my opinions on Dave's games. That's crazy. You guys watch this stuff? You're awesome. That's crazy. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching.